get started. Jumping jacks, pretty standard jumping jacks. Just jumping in and out. This is high impact. This is low impact. High knees, this is high impact, getting those knees up to the hands. This is low, marching in place. High impact booty kicks. Low impact. And bear hugs. So just kind of getting a nice stretch in the arms, throw the arms back, wrap them around, alternate which arm crosses over on top. Okay, lunges. Anytime you do a lunge, reverse lunge just means you're going to step backwards into the lunge. Anytime you do a lunge, you want to have the same form. So that front leg should be knee over the second toe, body up nice and tall. You can have your hands wherever is comfortable on your hips, hanging down. Sometimes we'll be doing something with our arms while we're lunging. So for now, just put them wherever they're comfortable. You want most of your weight in the front leg. So we're working the front leg. The back leg is primarily to help you balance in the lunge. And you're going to step out and come back up. Now, the deeper you go into the lunge, I'm going to show you from the side, the more challenging it is. So to make this less intense, you just don't lunge as deep, okay? To make it more intense, you lunge much deeper. Now you'll notice, as you go down deeper, these are 90-degree angles. You don't want this knee to come past that toe. So really pay attention to that. You should be able to look down and see your toes during the lunge. If it starts to bother that knee of the back leg, bring the foot in closer, and that should alleviate some. To make a lunge more intense, when you come up to a balance, and don't set that foot down on the ground. And just come up and balance. And you'll stay on the same side for the whole 45 seconds and then switch to the other leg. Okay, push-ups, same thing. So the end push-up, you'll be on your toes, on your hands. The goal is to get your chest to the floor, not your face. So keep your head neutral, look at a spot a few inches in front of your hands, lower that chest down to the floor, push yourself back up. Now obviously to modify these, you can put your knees down, but it's the same idea. So see how my hips did not go up when my knees went down. It's the same form. You're still engaging your core quite a bit, sucking in those abs. And again, chest to the ground, push it back up. Okay, single leg hip extension. So I'm going to show you a regular hip extension first, and this is where you'll want to start if you haven't done hip extensions before. Both feet flat on the floor. You're going to raise the hips up, lower them down. Raise out. Now when you lower your hips down, don't let them rest completely on the floor. They can graze the floor, but keep tension in the hamstrings, the backs of the legs. Now for a single leg, you're going to stick one leg up in the air, and you want your knees in line. So you don't want the leg up here. You don't want it down here. You want the knees in line with one another. And you're just going to raise and lower, just like the double, but just with one leg. Now, your hand position in double or single to progress, meaning to make it more intense, you start with them flat on the floor, your hands, move them to your chest, and then eventually up over in front of your face. Okay, let's see. Single leg shoulder press. All right, so we'll grab some weights. You can always start all the exercises without weights and then add weights later once you learn the form and the technique of each movement. Single leg just means you're standing on one leg. Shoulder press, you have the weights at your shoulders. My palms are facing forward, and you're going to press them straight up, and they kind of come together at the top as well. So they go up and together. Now, anytime we're doing something on one leg, okay, well, first of all, when you're doing something with your shoulders, when you're raising them up overhead, avoid raising the shoulders up as well. So keep the shoulders down. And in order to do that, you want to pull your shoulder blades together and think about pulling them down your spine. So as your arms go up, keep the shoulders down. Also, anytime you're on one leg, the the first version is just to raise that leg a little bit off the floor. Okay, sometimes we'll be bent over a little bit, but mostly you're just going to raise it a little bit off the floor. To make it more challenging, to engage more muscles, you can raise that leg up to parallel, kind of like in the high knees. Now, if you're doing this, you want to curl the hips under just a little bit, pull the shoulder blades together, nice, straight, tall back. That's going to engage a lot more of your core while you're balancing. What you want to avoid anytime you balance is contact between your legs. So do not hook that foot onto that leg, or rest it on this foot, or rest it on the leg like this. The leg that's balancing should not touch any part of the leg that's off the ground. So that's what you want to try to avoid anytime you're doing stuff on one leg, which we will do a lot of. All right, the next one is a single leg bicep curl. So you're just going to switch sides, switch legs, and start with your hands, palms facing you, and then as you bring the weights up, you'll turn your palms towards your shoulders. Okay, so there's a little bit of a twist right there at the bottom as you curl that. Now, anytime you do a bicep curl, let your arms go all the way straight before you curl again. You want nice, long, and lean muscles. So you want to let those arms go all the way straight before you bring it back up for the bicep curl. Okay, the next one is the squat. We will also be doing a lot of different kinds of squats. The form is the same. The basic form is always the same. So you want your toes forward. As you're going to squat, you're going to have all your weight in your heels. So I physically lift my toes off the ground just to keep the weight in my heels. And you're going to sit back as if you're sitting in a chair. Come back up. Now, just like in a lunge, you want your knees over your second toe, in line with your second toe. Sit back, come back up. And from the side, this is what it looks like. So you're going to sit back. Obviously, the deeper you go, the more challenging it is. You're trying to sit back so that you're hitting that 90-degree spot. To counterbalance yourself, you will have to lean forward a little bit, but it's only to balance. So what you want to avoid is this, leaning forward instead of squatting. Think about sitting the hips back first, and then if you need to lean forward slightly to balance, that's okay. Also, a lot of these exercises, especially in the beginning, are great to do in front of a mirror, only because you can watch to make sure that you're hitting the right form. So in your squat, as you're coming back up, you want to avoid turning the knees in to help push you up, or pushing them out to help push you up. Those knees should stay in line with the second toe through the entire movement. The knees should not move. All right, single leg, bent over row. So for this one, we are going to be on one leg. You are going to be bending over. And your back and legs should be in line. So the farther you bend over, the higher that leg will go. The farther you bend over and the higher the leg, the more challenging the exercise. The row movement is simply pulling up your pants. What you want to watch is keep those shoulder blades pulled together the entire movement. So even when you come down, don't let those shoulders roll forward. Keep them pulled back, and you're just pulling up your pants. Okay? Then you'll switch legs, and you're doing a single leg bent over reverse fly. So again, same movement as you bend over farther. You want to keep that back and the leg in line. So you can be here, it's fine. Just keep them in line. And the reverse fly motion is taking those straight back. All right, so from the front, it looks like this. So you're taking it straight back. Your arms will be slightly bent. You can see there's a slight bend, but not very much. And again, pulling that shoulder blade so that you're not punching over even when your arms are down. Pull those shoulder blades together the whole time. Okay, and burpees. So here is a standard burpee, and then I'll show you a couple modifications. Start with your arms up. Going to lower down to the ground, jump out into plank position, jump your feet back in, and stand up. Okay? The proper form, things to watch for. First of all, a modified version of this is to lower down and step out into plank and step back in. stand up. You can also jump out, step back in, or step out and jump back in if you want to slowly progress up to the full burpee. Okay, things to watch for. First of all, when you lower down to the ground to do your burpee, keep those knees in. Do not put them on the outsides of your elbows. Keep them in. Keep that form nice and tight. When you jump out to the plank, use your core to stop yourself at plank. So you're going to jump to plank, and don't let those hips sink. Keep them nice and sturdy. Again, when you jump back in, knees nice and tight. We do some burpees with it a little bit different when we jump in, but for the standard burpee, keep your feet together, your knees together, and everything nice and tight. Stand up. You can make it more difficult by adding a jump there and then going back into the burpee. Okay, plank. Again, this is something that we will be doing a lot of. So the final form of plank that you're working toward is up on your hands and toes. Nice, tight core, squeezing everything in. Okay, there are modifications of this. If you don't do planks very often, start on your forearms. Lower that center of gravity a little bit and go up on your toes. Now, when you get tired, put those knees down. But again, you can see, even though I put my knees down, I did not raise up my hips. As soon as you raise up your hips, you're releasing that core. So, if you can, keep it engaged. You can put the knees down. Keep the hips nice and low, and you will stay engaged in the plank. And then just work your way up to getting up on your hands. And again, here, as you start working towards that, you can put your knees down, keep your hips low, keep that core engaged. And then you can pop back up and down on and off of your hips. Okay, same with side plank. Start on your elbows, and you're going to be laying with everything stacked. So ankles are stacked, hips are stacked, and shoulders, everything's flat. Use your hand at first to push yourself off the ground. Okay? Hand positions here, and then you go through the progressions of hand positions. Now, eventually what you'll do is you'll work up to being able to do it on your hand, and it's the same thing. Everything is stacked. You can start with your hand down, although it's kind of hard to reach. Hand on the hip and arm overhead. No matter what position you choose, make sure that shoulder is directly over the elbow. If you're up on your hand, make sure it's directly over your wrist. If you're on your forearm, just over your elbow. Keep your body nice and long and everything stacked. And then the last one is tabletop. So for this one, you're going to have your hands behind you. Your finger position is whatever is comfortable for you. There is no right or wrong for this particular exercise. And you're just going to pop those hips up, make a nice flat table. So what you're doing here is you're squeezing every muscle to try and flatten the top and raise those hips up. So as you get tired, they'll kind of start to fall. Squeeze the booty, squeeze the hamstrings, which are the backs of the legs. Squeeze those abs and try and make it a nice flat table, and you're just holding it for the 30 seconds. Enjoy.